Okay, what's happening, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's night, it's 9 p.m. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm speaking to you from Nairobi, Kenya. How nice is that? Beautiful. So I arrived today. Yes, I'm in Kenya. Very excited, to really experience Kenya for the very first time. Yeah, I'm very excited. I've seen a lot of good things, but yeah, I want to see it face to face. Yeah, if you are in Kenya and you want to have a chat and let me know. Drop me a message on the comment section, and we can make arrangement, perhaps have a discussion and meet up. You never know. I believe God brings people together for reasons. Okay, so thank you very much for choosing us again. I always choose you. You know that. I hope you know that. Always choose you. Yeah. After food, I always choose you. Yeah, so there's a button here. I believe it's called subscribe. If it's your first time, feel free to crash the button, press the button so we can see each other very much often. I know we're gonna like each other. Okay, we're one big family. We're gonna be very quick. Okay, no wasting time. Benin is a country in Africa. Here is a map. Benin has lifted its suspension of imports of goods transiting to Niger through the port of Cotonou. This is brand new news. Yes, Benin has lifted the suspension of imports of goods transiting to Niger through its port. So what happened? Benin blocked its port to Niger. I'm going to give you context just now. Just stay with me, okay? So the port general director announced on the statement on Wednesday, after 5 months of blockade, the West African sanction applied in response to the coup d'etat in Niger. Okay, so let me give you context very quickly. What happened was Niger, so I want you to understand why Benin closed its port to Niger and why Niger needs Benin's port. Niger is a lovely country. We said that many, many times, but it's extremely hot. Here's a map. As you can see, Niger, even though it's a nice country, they don't have exit to a port. They don't have access to the sea. As you would know, many countries need access to the sea in order to exchange, to sell goods, to import goods easily. It's cheaper than importing through airplanes. Coming via boats is much cheaper, more affordability for the people, for everybody, normal human beings. Now, a country like Niger, same as many other countries in Africa, like Mali and Burkina Faso, these are countries inside the continent. They don't have a face to the sea. Therefore, they need other African countries to allow them, through their ports, to import and export at a lower rate. Are we together? Great. So, Niger had used for many, many years Benin's port to import food, to import many things for its populations. And because there were no issues, no beef between them, it was very easy to do. However, 5 months ago, Niger decided to topple the president because they found that the president was not working for the interest of the people of Niger. They found that the president was more affiliated with the West than he was really working for the people. So they say, you know what, Mr. President, we love you very much. We're not going to harm you. However, you will not be our president anymore. Now, the community of African presidents in West Africa, it's called ECOWAS, were very angry at the situation. They didn't like that fact. So they blockaded Niger. They blocked their port, blocked access to their port to Niger. So Niger could not import food, import anything from their port anymore. So Benin, that was previously cooperating with Niger in order to import and export, refused to let Niger use their port as an access point to import and export. Are we together? Great stuff. Now, there are 3 countries that are doing the very same thing right now. These countries are not very much liked right now in that side of Africa. It is Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. These 3 countries have revolted. They have kicked out their president. Now, these other African countries were not happy with them because obviously, these African country presidents have been there for the longest time. They want to stay for the longest time possible because let me tell you this, if you don't know, in Africa, when you become president, in most Africa at least, you become rich because nobody checks you out. Not the tax man, not the justice man, nobody, because you're the boss. So many African presidents become president to enrich themselves. Now, if these countries become dictator, they have leaders that enrich themselves. They find their friends who are also dictators being toppled by the people. What will be their primary reaction? Is to say, you know what? You're not allowed to do that. You're supposed to have democratic election, not topple your president. Therefore, we're going to block the door from you. The goal is not necessarily because they want democratic elections. The objective is they don't want that you people inspire their people to topple them as well. Do you understand? So it's a defense mechanism to protect themselves. So let me crush you before you inspire my people to crush me. Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Remember these countries. These are the countries that are fighting very hard right now in Africa to free themselves from colonialism and neo-colonialism. And other African countries are not very happy with them. Now, the good news is what? The good news is a few days ago, the king of Morocco, here's Morocco. Okay, again, here's Niger, here's Mali, here's Burkina Faso. Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso used to use the south as an outrance, as an exit point, as an access point for import and export through other African nations. These African nations don't like them anymore because they decided to topple the president and lead their own country, do things fairly for everybody. Morocco, as you can see here, decided to say, you know what? Because you don't have access to the sea, you know what? I can provide you access to the sea through my port. How about that? Niger, Burkina Faso, and the other brother went to Morocco, have a discussion to say, okay, you know what? Thank you very much for the opportunity. We really appreciate this. In fact, yes, we're willing to work with you to see how this works.
L'initiative de Sa Majesté le roi du Maroc a suscité l'intérêt du gouvernement du Mali, qui y voit une manifestation de la solidarité et de la fraternité agissante du Royaume du Maroc à l'endroit de pays frères africains.
Nous avons l'espoir que cette initiative royale offrira de réelles opportunités d'exploitation et de transformation, de commercialisation de nos ressources, l'accélération de la connectivité régionale et des flux commerciaux pour la prospérité partagée du Maroc et des pays du Sahel.
Cette initiative est une alternative qui s'articule parfaitement à l'ambition des États du Sahel de valoriser leurs énormes potentialités en minimisant le poids de l'enclavement à travers une politique d'intégration infrastructurelle efficace et porteuse de croissance. C'est vous dire que nous saluons à sa juste valeur l'offre faite par Sa Majesté le roi Mohamed VI et pour laquelle, avec les autres pays frères du Sahel et sous les éclairages de nos plus hautes autorités, nous travaillerons à son appropriation.
Now, one day later, guess what happened? Benin comes and says, okay, by the way, we're opening the port. You can come back.
C'est cette même logique qui me pousse à exprimer aujourd'hui notre volonté de voir se rétablir rapidement les relations entre le Bénin et les pays où des coups d'État sont intervenus pour remettre en cause les processus démocratiques.
You know what I mean? So these people have been struggling for the longest time. For 5 months now, they've been put to the side, ostracized completely. You know, labeled name, you are terrorist, you are unacceptable. All of a sudden, once the Moroccan king says, I can give you access to my port, we can build infrastructure, we can work together. These other dudes, I almost say these other N words. Yeah, sorry. These other dudes on the other side say, you know what? We can open the ports. Please come back. We're going to lift the sanction. How does that sound to you? I hope we're together. So let me put it into perspective for you. Once again, I'm going to say it again. I've said it in the past. I don't care if you get triggered. That's none of my business. Morocco, or Moroccans, most Moroccans look a little bit different from us. Okay, they are different in terms. They're Africans, but they look different. Some of them are lighter in skin. Some of them look a little bit like Arabs, and people label them names. And I know many things have happened in the past. Many sub-Saharan Africans have been mistreated in Morocco. I mean, it's not a lie. These are things that have happened in the past. However, as this specific situation is happening, The king of Morocco is willing to open his door to its port to these countries that have been blocked by other African nations. And when I say African nation, I'm talking about these other black nations have blocked port to other black nations, and these Moroccans, okay, are willing to help them. And now these Africans say, I'm talking about Benin, say, oh, by the way, please come back. You know, how this feels to me like. It feels to me like you've been dating somebody for the longest time and they mistreat you. You know, they treat you in a way that's not appropriate. They're not willing to change. They, degrade you. They abuse you. They talk to you in a way that is not nice. They hurt your feelings. They disregard your feelings. And the soonest you get somebody else that just looks like he's taking you to the right direction, then they want to come back and say, oh, I actually apologize. Well, I think I'm going to fix myself. I mean, where were you all this time? Where were you all this time? Where were you all this time when they needed you? When they needed you, you were not there. In fact, you were there. You just didn't want to do anything about it. Now that you see I've got another opportunity, you want to come back running, say, oh, hey, by the way. Well, let's find out a little bit. Why is Benin running? Okay, why is Benin looking to open its door now to Niger? Because, I mean, let's face it, fellas. Okay, we are brothers. And I can see we all subjected to the rule of, the world. We know who leads the world. These people are still colonizing us. Okay, I'm going to give you a very quick level of context as well. Niger was colonized by the French. French people came to Niger, as well as many other African countries. They colonized them. They beat the living shit out of them for the longest time, like many other African countries. Niger has been freed since the 1960s, like many other African countries.
Je proclame solennellement l'indépendance du Niger.
Okay, you know that Europeans came to Africa to colonize and steal and loot and take things by force. French people did it, British people did it, Portuguese did it. Everybody took something in Africa. However, in the 1960s, they started freeing many other African countries. Niger was part of the countries that were freed in the 1960s. Even though they were freed, they were not really freed because these French people still held the economy of the country by the balls. Yes. So you are free. You can vote your own president. You can go wherever you are. You are, supposedly free. But in reality, we still hold your economy because we have access to your money. We have access to your resources. We have access to anything free of charge. At least with a lot of, whatever we want, we can do in your country. Now, these countries are tired of that. This started in the 1960s up until now, where African countries cannot move forward because ex-colonial countries still have strong hands into these countries' economy. Now, let's find out why Benin wants to open its door at last. One of the reasons why Benin wants to open its door is because Benin is suffering. Benin is not making money from the import that Niger was doing. You get it? Yes, Niger was importing a lot of things and a lot of money went through Benin. Obviously, when you're importing things, whoever who's handling things make money too. You know what I'm saying? Now, for 5 months, Benin has not been making money like they used to because they blockaded Niger. They said the ECOWAS sanctions. The sanctions were done by ECOWAS. ECOWAS is the big group of countries. Benin is part of ECOWAS. So Benin was obliged to, do what ECOWAS asked him to do. ECOWAS sanctions against Niger have serious economic consequences for Benin. This country is notably recording a drop in its port revenue. The lifting of the suspension of import of goods transiting to Niger comes almost a week after Beninese President Patrick Talon said he wanted to quickly restore relations between his country and Niger. So Benin has been suffering from punishing Niger. Okay, they need Niger to bring in things. They need Niger to work. Now there's a number 2 problem. Okay, Niger had a very, very big project of exporting oil. So this country is very poor, but they have tremendous amount of minerals. They have lithium, they have gold, they have petrol, oil they just discovered. So they had a big project to export oil. Since they are in an enclaved country, they are in the continent, they are not by the sea. They obviously have to find a way out to the sea to export the oil. Now, the country they chose to export the oil is Benin. So Benin was going to benefit tremendously from this project. They invested about $7 billion into this project. And now Benin has been thinking, okay, we're not making money from the port. Are we going to miss the money from the oil as well? No. This is too bad. Let's rectify. Let's find a solution. So they say Niger is one of the poorest states in the world, but it became an oil producer in 2011. You know, you can be the poorest country in the world and be one of the biggest oil producers. Can you believe that? The black gold extracted by China National Petroleum. So you can see again, fellas, China comes to Africa, even though they're building for the people. I mean, let's just get it right. I'm not saying they're better. I'm just saying it's the lesser of the issue. So initially, Niger had planned to evacuate its crude oil through the Cameroonian port of Kribi or via the neighboring Chad, before opting for the Beninese corridor, launched in 2019. The project was supposed to be completed in 2022, but the COVID-19 pandemic slowed it down. So there's a massive project called Aléoduc, massive project of oil from Niger going all over the world. But that project that's plans, those pipelines to go through Benin. Now, Benin is thinking, we're not making money from the port. Okay, we're not going to continue like this. Are we going to miss the money from the petrol, the oil as well? No, we're not going to do that. And again, thank you for the king of Morocco for initiating this, because one thing triggers the other, and that's the reality of it. The reason why I firmly believe these countries are very slowly starting to react. And you tell me how you feel about this. Don't you think it's because the king of Morocco says you can come here, you can actually get your things exported by here? Then they say, you know what, we're going to miss this forever. If these people sign a deal with Morocco, we can say goodbye to importation to Niger. We can say goodbye to the project of oil because they can just, redirect things to Morocco. How about that? And Moroccans are going to make the money that these other countries were supposed to make. Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. I mean, somebody just mistreated you for the longest time, then comes back because you seemingly going to get married. Please take me back. Take me back. You're going to take him back. God bless.